So for today's Halloween look, I'm doing a recreation of one of Meiju Look's face paints. I think she did this like 2 or 3 years ago, probably even more than that now, because it's been on my list for quite a while to do. But I decided I would take a stab at it today. The only things I changed basically are the colors that I used, and she used rhinestones, and I didn't have any on hand, so I didn't use any of those. But to start out, I'm taking my dark purple cream paint, and I'm just laying out this kind of spider webby shape. It's almost like part of your face has been removed to reveal like the real skin underneath. So I'm just mapping that all out. And then I am mapping out where my extra eyeballs are going to go, because there is some extra eyes on this face. There is 4 eyes along with my own that we are going to be transforming into spider eyes. So I just kind of made an eye shape just so that I didn't fill them in and have to remove the paint later. You can do it that way. A lot of people do their face paints that way. I think it's a big waste of product, and since my paints are so tiny, I really don't want to do that. But now we're just going to fill in. We're going to fill in everything inside of this spider web shape. You could fill in the outside with a different color if you really wanted to, but I think that kind of detracts from the sort of masky look. So I am just filling in all that empty space. I suggest using a smaller brush to do this, just because you want to get right up into every crease and crevice. But if you're more talented than me, feel free to use a bigger brush. For the lips, I decided to go with a dark kind of purpley red color. In the original picture, I think she uses like a dark blue. So I just kind of wanted to keep with the theme of having a similar but a little bit off shade color. Just kind of pick from the same color palette. But again, you can make this your own and do whatever colors you want. If you want to make it purple so the lips kind of just fade into the rest of the face, that works too. So after I finished my lips, I'm just letting them dry. I decided to go in with my concealer and start priming my eyes. As you can see, I kind of carved out my eye shape already when I was adding my paint. So this is just going to clean up those edges even more and give me a nice flat surface and base to work with when doing the shadows. So now I went in with a deep purple shade. It's from the It's My Pleasure palette from ColourPop. And I took the darkest shade and just filled in that whole space. This isn't a super glam eye. It's just supposed to look like this is what your eyelid would naturally look like if you had this spidery face kind of monster situation going on. And the main thing with this, just like with most eye looks, is really just blending and patience. You want to try and avoid touching that paint. Like, you can get right up into it to blend, but you don't want to drag any of that paint down onto your lid, because it makes it very hard to blend the colors once that paint gets in there, because the cream and the powder mix and then it sets and it just doesn't work. So I took my time with this big fluffy brush and I went all the way in toward my nose, because this is also going to be part of our contour. We want our nose to look a little bit slimmer, kind of have that buggy, kind of just elongated face, because a spider doesn't have a nose. So we kind of want to make ours disappear. So then I went in with a little bit of a lighter shade just to blend out the edge a bit. And again, everything is just getting smoked out. And then with the purple shade, I just continued from the inner corner of my eye, down the bridge of my nose, and all the way to the tip, just to really slim out our nose so it looks teeny tiny, like it almost doesn't exist. And then going in with a dark shimmery color that's pretty close to the shade I used on the rest of the eye, I'm just tapping this all over the lid to give us just a little bit of glamour, because it is a bit of a glammy look. It's a glammy monster. We don't want to be completely flat. We want to have some dimension. So I went in with this foil shade, and I just used the same brush as I used before, so it has a little bit of that deep purple on there to help blend. And I'm just tapping this all over until there is no more of my skin left to see. Then I went in with my lavender shade and just added this to the nose to highlight, to make it look slimmer and also give our face just a little bit more dimension, so it's not just a big purple blob. And then going under the eyes, I just continued with that same deep kind of fuchsia purple color, just to get rid of my waterline. Basically, I just tapped this color in there, because a lot of the times I notice my looks don't look as polished when my waterline is still my skin tone and kind of pinky. So I just wanted to cover that up. And then, of course, we're going to give it a big old wing with some black liner. Since this is spidery, I almost wanted this liner to look like its own spider leg coming off of the eye. And you'll see when I do the other eyes what I mean about the legs. But I wanted this one to have that similar look so that all my eyes look cohesive together. And then I continued that line in so that it is more of a cat eye, just elongating the shape of the eye to make everything look very squinty, very fierce, very like creepy, crawly, spooky sort of look. And cat eyes are really easy if you have a pen liner, so I recommend that if you're doing any sort of cat eye this year. Now I'm going into all of the other eyes, and I'm going to start by filling them in with white paint, but you'll notice I'm leaving a little bit of space. That is where the iris is going to be. Again, you can completely fill everything in and then take like a Q-tip with some makeup remover to take the middles out if you want to do it that way. But I was able to get a good enough shape on my own, so I just did it this way. Now on the top eye, there's only going to be one iris. On the bottom, there's going to be two. So it's going to look like there's two eyeballs, and in the top hole, there is only going to be one. So make sure that you leave yourself enough room in your little eye outlines to fit two of those little holes in there. I definitely did not. I should have given myself a little bit more space, but I was able to make it work. But you're going to want to use a fine point pen, or not pen. I mean, I guess you could use a pen. Pencil brush or paintbrush. Paintbrush is the word I'm looking for. Now I am filling in my irises. I decided to do a very light purple, but you can go with like a bright yellow. You could do a blue, you could do a green, you could do like an all black if you wanted to do that kind of look. But I wanted to stick with the purples, so I went lilac with it. And then after that, I just added a very straight, what is pupil? That's the word. I added a very straight line pupil. So again, very cat eye, very creepy, very spooky. And then over top of each of those, I created an eyelid. So I went in with that dark fuchsia shade that I used all over my own eyelids and just tapped this along the top. This is going to give us a little more dimension, make the eyes look like they're kind of set in the face more than just laying on top, which is what you want when you're doing this kind of thing. The shading is really what's going to bring it all together, and the outlining. So I did take a black paintbrush with black paint on it and then outline all of those eyes so that they have their own sort of liner effect. It also enhances the direction of the eye so that you can see if they're looking in or out or down. I did mine in and down so they look very scary. So now I'm adding spider legs coming from each of these eyes. This is how Miju looked at it, and I really think it just makes it look super spooky. So I added just these little kind of wisps. I just took my paintbrush and added 2 legs on each side. You don't have to add 8. I think 8 makes it look too cluttered and messy. But you know, you can add extra legs if you really want to. And then I added a few legs coming out of my own eye, but of course we have that eyeliner, so that adds one more extra leg. So after I was done with my legs, I outlined the face with black. Again, you can use whatever color you want, but I just chose black because I think it's just it's so intense that it makes it very clear where things begin and end. If you use another color, again, it may just take away from the effect a little bit. And I recommend going thin on these lines. If you go too thick, it's going to end up making it look a little too cartoony. If you do it thin, it just gives it a more like polished look, and it just looks a little bit more realistic. Like you just kind of popped this piece of your face off, and now you're left with this glamour ghoul sort of look. So now for all of the legs, I went in and added a little bit of white highlight just to where the bend is on the leg so that you can see it goes up and then down. The highlight is going to be on the highest part, just like we do with our face. You're going to want to do that with the legs. And I added them on the ones under my eyes as well. Then I just kind of finished off the regular makeup parts of this, adding some mascara because we want our lashes to really pop. Again, give that spidery look. So add a bunch of mascara. Get that clumpy mascara that you hate but you hold on to and it's still in your drawer. And then I threw on a pair of false lashes and this wig that kind of matches my color scheme. And this one I did a review on. I can link it somewhere if you guys are interested. But it's just this long kind of ultraviolet look. And then I did go in and add a purple gloss just because I felt like it needed a touch more of glamour. But this is it. So if you guys like this look, let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. And keep watching for all my other Halloween tutorials. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.